Good evening, folks. Welcome to episode 4 of the Uninsured Angles podcast. Holidays around the corner. We got some good basketball lined up. The group play for the intermediate cup or whatever the irrelevant cup is right here around the corner. And joining me this evening is Jordan Stratton and Josh Barton. We are missing Haley Everett. I believe the Great Barrier Thief took him along with the ball from every other player in the NBA, but we're about to roll into it. So, gentlemen, how are you feeling? How are we looking?
Well, I do feel really good about Dyson Daniels, the aforementioned Great Barrier Thief, and that is a an S tier nickname, one of the best in the NBA. Josh, are there any other nicknames that you might be liking at the moment?
There certainly is. How about the rookie in Chicago, Lil Boozy Vert?
Good old
That's
Buzelas.
that's bad. That's straight up bad. I mean, I like Bazelis, but like, that's a bad name.
Nick
Back on
can
Um,
the
end the
back on
podcast
the
after 30 seconds.
back on the Dyson Daniels train. Can we just give him a little shout out and say are we seeing a defensive player of the year and most improved player of the year
Mm.
campaign in a single season? And question number two, has that ever happened before? I don't think it has.
Question number 3, who is running New Orleans and why did they get rid of him? Because he fits every single need they have, and it's just ridiculous they got rid of him. But yes to both questions, Jordan.
I think he deserves both, but I don't think he's going to get both. I don't think he's going to get most improved. I think he'll get player or defensive player of the year.
Ooh,
No Rudy
interesting.
Gobert for boy.
My inclination was going to be the other way around. I thought he might get most improved, but he wouldn't get depoy. I think Wemby's still going to have just a little too much hype. And since AD hasn't, necessarily played at the same level defensively as he was for the first month or so of the season, uh, I think I think Wemby might get it. But hey, look, if he keeps averaging 6 steals a game, then it's going to be hard not to give it to him. So some
Well, how about
crazy numbers.
Bonkers.
How about deflections? He's on pace to set the NBA record by literally doubling it. The NBA record's 305 and he's on pace for 600. That's ridiculous.
It's
Atta
insane.
boy.
And isn't it,
Atta boy.
isn't Joker like number 2 in deflections right now or something like that? Now, I
And it's
will
nowhere
say
close.
deflections are one of those stats that is a little deceiving defensively. I mean, I don't think any of us would say that James Harden is or was a particularly strong defender, and he had multiple
Speak for yourself.
seasons. He had multiple seasons in Houston where he was leading the league in deflections and even close to the top in steals. And I still don't think I'm not going to call him a top 100 defender in the NBA, despite those. So
I think this is one of those things with like Allen Iverson too is kind of in that same boat, right? You jump passing lanes, you kind of, that's all you've got basically is you gamble for the steal and you might get a few deflections and a few steals and you get to break away, but it's not indicative of a whole work of art for defensive prowess like a Dyson Daniels.
To Daniels' credit, though, I will say that the tape backs up the numbers. It's not like a Harden situation.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
and I'm not
Oh
accusing you
yeah.
of not
No, no,
agreeing
no,
with you,
no,
you,
no,
Nick.
no.
For those listening, Nick just had a very visceral reaction to my comment, but like the tape shows it too. Guys just can't dribble around him.
How did Jaylen
I.e.
Brown do around
Jaylen
him?
Brown. How many steals did he have on? I think he had 5 steals just on Jaylen Brown.
I think he had 8 in the game, and I actually was legally obligated to sign a disclosure saying I would not talk about it on the pod. It was so bad, so I'm gonna assert my legal right to refrain from commenting.
You have an NDA with
I
the
think your
Boston
NDA just got
Celtics.
violated. You literally
Yeah,
just violated that NDA then.
pretty sure
Shh.
pretty sure you're not allowed to tell us that you have that said NDA.
All right, guys, let's get into our NBA's giving segment. I think we're gonna do a little roundtable, and we're gonna do this segment where we combine a holiday food with a player or team in the NBA and make a connection to the two. Jordan, you want to kick us off with your first take?
I would love to. And as these gentlemen came to find out this week, I'm a gravy hater. I don't like gravy. It's greasy and it's not a uh it's not a complimentary sauce flavor wise. For me, if I'm using it, it's to drown out the other bad flavors of things on the plate. It's it doesn't bring out the deliciousness of a dish. It just feels like it's soupy and gross and it's really aggressive. It reminds me of a great from the Chicago Bulls known as Zach LaVine. Just just someone that, it can show up on a dish and it could be good for one item. If you drizzle a little bit on a well-cooked turkey, it could be nice, but everybody knows that you don't just pour a drizzle of gravy. Everybody overdoes the gravy. The gravy, aka Levine, takes too many shots. It's not complimentary. It doesn't add flavor to the other members of the plate. It's just it's overbearing, and that's I think why we don't see a ton of, especially out here on the West Coast, outside of Thanksgiving, you're not seeing a ton of gravy boats in use. It's not open. Not a ton of dishes are looking to trade for gravy. They're not looking to trade for Zach LaVine because it's not complimentary.
Jordan, Jordan. Gravy has a role, whether it's good flavored or not. You look at mashed potatoes, you look at turkey, those are some of the driest things you can put in your mouth. You need something to moisten them up. I mean, without gravy, you don't have a cohesive meal. It pulls everything together. I'm not even a gravy lover, but it pulls the meal together. Like that's the role of gravy. It's the binding agent. I mean, not literally binding, but pulls the meal together, pulls it like it complements it. It takes the mashed potatoes and makes them with everything else. Like that's the role of it. Zach Levine doesn't do that. This is where it all falls apart. I this does not work for me, man.
For me, it's the fact that, and maybe this is just from my experience with my family, is I see that gravy boat come out, and it's got like 2 cups worth in it, and by the time somebody's done pouring it onto their plate, there's like a quarter of a cup left, and so all they've got on their plate is this pool of gravy, and that's where I'm seeing the Zach Levine is he's putting every ounce of himself onto the floor, and he's got to have the ball in his hands, and he's not. That's not tying things together. That's called drowning out what could be an amazing plate.
Jordan has as much trauma with gravy as Chicago Bulls fans have with Zach Levine. I'll ask you this question: is it the gravy that's the issue, or the fact that every other team in the NBA has their own flavor of gravy, which happens to be better?
Look, there are some gravies that I can get on board with. You get some good sausage gravy,
Mm.
a little savory breakfast gravy poured lightly over a savory breakfast omelet or crepe, perhaps, from perhaps our one of our favorite restaurants in downtown Durham, North Carolina, Press. Where's our sponsorship, Press? Um,
Shout out.
that I can get on board with, but
We get
and
on
maybe
board some.
maybe this is a fault of the person applying the gravy, also known as the coach.
Mm.
That we could say that there's some fault to place there, but at the end of the day, whoever's handling the gravy, they think they know what they're doing with it, and it's drowning out the plate in Chicago.
So if I can extrapolate this narrative, right? We're saying not all gravies are bad. Like a biscuits and gravy, sausage gravy,
Mm.
fantastic, right? We're all for that. But it's just about how it's applied. And we're
Mm.
talking in the instance of Thanksgiving, it's not being applied well. In the instance of Zach Levine, he's not being applied well. Like
He And so maybe we have come to the point where, well, I think this probably is still a fault of Zach LaVine, that I really like a lot of Zach LaVine's game. And I think if it was applied well in the right setting, in the right amounts, it would be really good. But the fault that I think I see a lot at Thanksgiving and the fault I see in Zach LaVine is over application, and so it ends up not being a compliment.
What if the issue's not the right pairing, maybe? How about if that gravy was paired with some other items in a place like Denver, and maybe Zach LaVine is taking the place of Jamal Murray? What do we think about that? Because as much as we love Jamal Murray during the title run, it's been rough ever since.
If uh if I might go into one of my
Let's
next
go.
analogies,
Let's go. Let's go.
Jordan's just bringing all the food to the table. We haven't even brought anything, Nick.
I
Hey, I can eat later. That's fine.
I
We're good.
have I have my lovely stuffing equated to our good friend Jamal Murray,
Ooh.
because Jamal Murray and stuffing are good once a year. And they are good in the case of stuffing, it's good on Thanksgiving Day. I love me some stuffing. It's got some really good flavors there. If you get the breading done just right, it mm, mm, mm. Jamal Murray is good once a year when they're playing the Lakers, and that's it.
Lakers in the playoffs.
Lakers in the playoffs. Sometimes Lakers during the regular season. You never know. Maybe you got some leftover turkey, or you happen to be eating some turkey randomly during the year. You can pull out some stuffing once a year. He's good once a year against the Lakers in the playoffs.
Note to the listener that Jordan's soul just struggled with that whole thought of how Jamal Murray killed them in the playoffs last year and
Two
literally did
gamers,
nothing else.
two gamers, and he's been the 6 months prior, the 6 months after has been nothing but two gamers. And man, I was telling the guys earlier today, I had to turn off social media this morning because I literally opened it up, and the only thing I saw, every post, Nuggets are 13-1 against the Lakers. Nuggets are 13-1 against. I had enough. I heard. I'm done. I've heard it. I'm done. I've had enough.
Jordan, I really like this analogy. The only thing that I will say that I have to quibble with it is I think that stuffing is never good. It's just
Oh,
it's wet bread that I'm gonna bake and put some turkey juice on. Like, I mean, throw some sausage and some celery in there, whatever. Like, it's stale bread that you've recooked
well,
with
and
some. It's
and
not good. But
yeah,
like
and
Jamal Murray's not good either, so that's
and
fine.
that's
Like,
so that's the other thing I said too is not only does it only show up once a year, but in the one time it shows up a year, it's only good because it's paired with another great dish. You can have a little combo of a beautiful, well cooked dish, and pair it with your stuffing. But if the other amazing dish isn't there, if I ain't eating just a plate of stuffing. What are we talking about?
Well, that's a great segue to my first dish I'm bringing to the table. We can't have Thanksgiving without a turkey, and we can't have NBA basketball without Nikola Jokic. He is the main dish. He is the reason why anyone watches basketball. Let me just hit you guys with a few numbers. He is averaging more points than MVP Kobe, more rebounds than MVP Duncan, and more assists than MVP Nash. And we talked about with Dyson Daniels, the tape validating everything. Not that we needed any tape to validate that Nikola Jokic is amazing, but the Nuggets are so bad. The other night when they played the Mavericks in the Emirates NBA Cup, um, there is one possession where Jokic catches it in the post, gets doubled, kicks it out to the shooter. Shooter misses. Jokic gets the offensive rebound, gets doubled again, kicks it out to another shooter. They miss. He gets another offensive rebound and finally says, "All right, I'll do it myself," and scores on an and one. It's amazing how much he has to do on the Nuggets. And the thing with a turkey is not all turkeys are created equal, right? You have to cook your turkey right, or it's going to dry out and become brittle, become very untasty, if you will. Some turkeys, like a turkey in, I don't know, Philadelphia, maybe, it's all about the stats, shall we say. It's all about how the turkey looks. It's not about the substance with the turkey. And with Jokic, especially this year, you can tell the difference with how hard he's playing. He's yelling at guys in the huddle. He's yelling at officials. I was surprised he didn't get a tech in that Dallas game. If y'all saw the clip of him like
He got
berating
grumpy
Draymond Green style, like marched halfway across the court and he didn't get a T.
with his international hand gestures. The
It's the two hands out.
Have you seen his on-off splits? I'm not a big on-off splits guy, but have you seen
oh,
his
Yeah.
on-off
So
splits?
that was the other number. So with Jokic on the floor, the Nuggets are the greatest offense of all time. With Jokic off the floor,
efficiency wise, right?
efficiency wise, yeah, with Jokic off the floor. So to repeat, with Jokic on the floor, the Denver Nuggets are the most efficient offense of all time. With Jokic off the floor, they are the worst offense in the modern era, efficiency wise. That is insane. And that is why Nikola Jokic is a turkey, because you can't have a holiday, you can't have a Thanksgiving without a turkey.
And I'm going to add as well a couple other numbers. Not only does he have more points than Kobe, rebounds than Duncan, assists than Nash, but uh, he's shooting a higher percentage from three than 2016 MVP Curry. He's
Mm.
got a better true shooting percentage than 2019 MVP Antetokounmpo, and he's averaging more steals per game than defensive player of the year Marcus Smart. So, I mean,
That's just
it's
ridiculous.
insane. It
It
it's
doesn't
gonna
feel
be
real.
it's gonna be immensely difficult to not give him another MVP, and it is amazing to watch.
Yeah, I
Now,
said in our I was just going to say, I said in our season prediction pod, like, there's no chance Jokic gets another one because he would have to do like the most ridiculous thing, and he's doing it. It's
if he
ridiculous.
somehow keeps this up, there's no way you can't give it to him. The numbers
Hmm.
he's putting up are the most insane stats of any
Hmm.
season ever. And I'm gonna do a quick little shout out. I have one of my takes that I wasn't sure is gonna make the cut, but is kind it was pseudo referenced by Josh about halfway through. I have overcooked turkey as one of my dishes. And he referenced a particular center in Philadelphia. I was actually thinking of a player on Dallas, um, that might have a lot of flash and a lot of stats, but when you watch him, do the things that you want out of a player that's leading a team to victories, like playing defense or having any sort of intangibles other than shooting really heavily contested shots that go in more than they should. You've got quite a bit of an overcooked turkey in Luca, and I think the fans are starting to the Luca show, the glory of it is starting to wear off on people. We're seeing behind the curtain a little bit at uh, at how overcooked he is, and and I was watching a video the other day too about some of the stuff that he was doing on the court when he was a rookie and
Mm.
had a few less pounds on his body. He moved so much more
Hmm.
fluid. He was way more athletic and springy, and he was staying in front of guards a lot better defensively. And he seems like he's kind of just resigned himself to fill the break guys down on offense and rely on everybody else defensively. And
He
it's a
doesn't
bit.
have that good of a defensive like presence around him either. It's not
No,
like he's
he does
got
not.
like Tyson Chandler
We
sitting
we
behind him
talked
ready
we
to
talked
score.
about this at the beginning of the season. How do you expect to win a championship when your starting backcourt or your starting guard, forward combo is Kyrie, old injured Klay Thompson, and Luka? Those guys aren't staying in front of anybody, and I think we've seen that for this first stretch of the year. They've won the games when they've outscored the other team. They have not won games by shutting teams down.
As the resident Luca apologist, I feel like I gotta jump in and just defend my guy a little bit and say that he started the season slow every year the last 3 to 4 years.
Because he's
But
been
I will
overweight.
say, yeah, that was going to be what I was going to say. As a Luca fanboy, as a Luca apologist, I'm a little frustrated, to be honest, with they have their long playoff run, making it to the finals. He has a great finals, great numbers. He was really the only person keeping Dallas in the finals because that sure wasn't Kyrie. Um, but I don't know if he touched a basketball all off season. I don't know if he exercised all off season.
He at
It's
least played
tough
in the
when
Olympics, right?
well, he didn't play in the Olympics.
Oh yeah, he didn't, did he?
Slovenia didn't make it.
It's
He
almost
Mm,
was
like they didn't qualify.
mm,
Mm.
mm.
I mean,
How
he's
could you?
played great in the Olympics when has played, and I mean that's really the only time he's come into shape. But it's frustrating as a fan. Like Harden's done this a bunch, especially as he's gotten older. And Shaq did this, but Shaq was just a different kind of animal physically. Shaq would show up and just still dominate with an extra 50 pounds on him that he would play off throughout the season. But it's rough with Luka, and the defensive awareness has gotten almost a Harden level bad.
I'll give Shaq a big pass. You're 7'1", running up and down the court, staying in shape is hard, right? Like there's a lot of wear and tear on that body to
Yeah.
be able, like if you take the offseason off, take the offseason off. But Luca and Harden do not have that. And I see that exact trajectory of Luca going on the Harden path, and I don't love that.
And
Man,
I'll bring that.
some of those pictures of Harden showing up to camp and stuff when he was having issues in Brooklyn and he's got the big old and in Houston too when he got the big old tummy and and showing up to their first game like having not been at training camp and all this stuff. It's some good content.
I'll bring it back to my turkey take. And what makes my turkey so perfectly cooked is despite the fact that Nikola Jokic is never going to win a Mr. Universe competition, he is in amazing physical shape. Like conditioning wise, there are not many bigs in the league who can keep up with him the way he is up and down the court, his usage, every possession, his effort level, every possession. It's really impressive.
Yeah, and like you were
No, I
saying,
agree.
it's been pretty noticeable that this feels like the regular season that he's tried the hardest.
Hmm.
Part of that might be because he's had to, and so
Yes.
his usage rate is just so much higher than it has been in the past. Like there weren't many seasons where I was like, "Oh yeah, I could expect, you know, Joker to get between 35 and 45 a night." But like this season, you almost have to expect that to happen for them to win their games. I
Yeah.
haven't thought of him as the scorer. I've thought of him as the like floor general. He's got to be both this year.
So I think this is a good transition to my first take, and it's another permutation of turkey. It's the tofurkey.
Love it.
So for everybody who doesn't know, I am a vegan, and so I keep all those animal products off my plate. But tofurkey is allowed to be on the plate. But let's think about tofurkey for a second. Does it have the same substance as regular turkey? Does it taste as good? I mean, turkey's got its flaws, but does it taste as good as regular turkey? Does it kind of look like a turkey? You want it to be all the things it should be. Wants to be turkey so bad, but it's not. It's not a complete turkey. And that's what I'm talking about as a team. The team I'm going to talk about here is not a complete team. They've got all the pieces. They look good. They want to be substantive, but they're not. What team is that? The Philadelphia 76ers.
Ooh, I love it.
They are 3-13. They have Joel Embiid, aforementioned before by Josh, not doing a diddly thing this season.
Cooked.
Cooked. Overcooked.
Overcooked.
Yep. Paul George. Oh, recent acquisition. They're going to be great. Injured. Not great. Tyrese Maxey doing all right. Okay, I'm okay with Tyrese Maxey. Do you know who's leading the way for them? Jared McCain, a freaking
Let's
rookie
go.
of the year candidate. Like I love the dude. He's great. Like get up. He's out there trolling people on social media after the wins. Like that, just doing dances in their face. That's great. But they're not what they should be. They should be one, two, three, four in the East, a diluted East. But guess
Yeah.
what? They're 3-13. The only team they're doing better than in the East, the Washington Wizards. Like that says enough right there. So they're my tofurkey. They're all looks, hype, nothing good about it though.
On the Paul George note, I will. I'm sure Sixers fans are probably having an aneurysm over this, but I'm sure y'all have seen that Tobias Harris is averaging more points, more rebounds, and more assists than one Paul George. That's tough for Sixers fans.
Not only that, but even some of their role guys that you expected to have a step up. I mean, some of the other guys that they brought in, like Kyle Lowry, that you expected. You've had the production from Tyler to kind of offset the production you haven't gotten from Lowry, but um, I mean, even somebody like Oubre, who
Mhm.
you just wish could be what he was for like one season on what was it? Wasn't he on the Wizards back when he had kind of his breakout year? And you just wish that he would take that one step higher and be like a 18, 19 points per game guy because he's got all the skills to do it. Like he shows flashes of it. He'll have a game where he shoots 5 for 6 from three. He'll have another game where he is really efficient in the paint and is making explosive moves to the basket. And then he'll have another game where he shoots 0 for 5 from three and he dribbles it off his foot 3 times and does like two Shaqtin' a fool moves. So
Kelly Oubre is in the all middest team. Like just straight midding around. Like not good, not bad, just mid. Completely mid in every respect. And that's a preview for another one that I've got coming up, but he's all mid.
We
well, why
talked
don't
about nicknames though at the top, and I'll just say he does have a pretty dope nickname that I do think he gave himself, Tsunami Poppy.
Is it a good nickname if you have to give it to yourself though?
that's
As someone who's given themselves many self-given nicknames, yes.
But do other people actually use that nickname? Like we use your nicknames because they're legitimate and they're variations of your name and they make sense. But they're legitimate. Coming out of left field with Tsunami Poppy, not it.
it's a bold take.
Also, Shaq can give himself nicknames too.
That's
But
fair.
What
We
I'm hearing is me and Shaq are the same person, but okay.
pretty much.
Well, you were talking about your midi team there, Nick. Who do you got for your team number two?
All right, let's go to number two. This is my other take. So, pumpkin pie. It
Mm.
is the middest of mid holiday meals selections, right? How often do you eat pumpkin pie? You sitting there on April being like, I want some pumpkin pie. No, you eat it during the holidays and holidays exclusively. It's not anything you really like. It's fine. It's kind of bland. It's a pureed squash basically in a crust. Oh, I'm gonna elevate it by throwing some vanilla ice cream on it or some Cool Whip. Like this is still not a great thing, but people look forward to it. It's doesn't impress anybody, doesn't do anything bad to anybody, and everybody's okay with it. Everyone's gonna have it because it's tradition. It's just there, and it is right. It's super mid. It doesn't do anything for anybody. So who else is on my mid team? Austin Reeves.
Oh,
Sorry, I just love the reaction from Jordan. So he's on my mid team
you okay,
because
Jordan?
I think he's overrated. I think because he is the white American boy that he is, he gets overrated to what he is. And I think he's more mid than anything else, right? He takes he gets what he gets because he's playing with AD and with LeBron. LeBron take all the heat away from him and he just kind of does his own thing, does a little bit of this, a little bit of that, doesn't really elevate anything. Just kind of goes along. And if you put him on any other team, he's still not elevating what they do. I think he's super mid. And Jordan, you are now welcome to tell me why my opinion is trash on this one.
Here's the thing. We we love you don't understand. the fandom that follows the white boys in LA. We almost had the pinnacle. We almost had Alex Caruso, Austin Reeves, and Dalton Connect on the same team. We were a couple years from glory. We had Austin Reeves to step in for Caruso as he left. And I will say that while last year was was not the step forward that Laker fans were hoping for, he's still one of the most efficient third options in the NBA. And you can attribute that to whatever you want. By the time you're at a third option on an NBA team, that's what that player has to be. How many teams have a third option that's truly a bona fide star that you're going to go plug in and play on another team and have them be a a massive elevator type player. You're looking for someone that you could if you're looking for someone that's going to add value to your team, you want someone that you can plug into a starting lineup that you could put into your offensive scheme that's not going to be playing Ole defense. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that he's the best defender on the planet. We talked about this last pod. We need some better point of attack defenders on the Lakers. That's why we got Cam Reddish coming in and playing more minutes. But
So
that
he's a
being
mid defender.
yeah, yes, I you know uh, you know who's an even worse defender, and this isn't talked about because he's making so many freaking three pointers. Dalton Connect sucks. All right, he is so bad defensively, but that's a little off topic. Um, Reeves is one of those players that I know he's going to take 10 shots and have 19 points. I think that's pretty rare amongst the that third tier player on each team is that you're going to have them score close to that they're getting close to a point and a half per shot. And that's what the value that I really think he brings to the team is in a pinch, they go to him and he keeps bailing them out. So I refuse your slander. You're a fool. Austin Reeves is is everything we hold dear in the LA community, and I will not have you slander his name.
I will just jump
If he
in.
wasn't part of the white boy community, you wouldn't feel that way.
I'll jump in with your third banana point, and I just want to note some other third options in the league, and maybe this is why the Lakers aren't necessarily contending for championships. We have Kristaps Porzingis in Boston, although hurt, clearly one of the best, if not the best, third option in the league.
Availability is the best ability.
He was there when it mattered most, hence why we have the banner.
You would have had the banner without him.
That's just because we're an amazing team, but that's beside the point. We have Bradley Beal in Phoenix,
Blech.
objectively better than Austin Reeves. Objectively.
Yeah.
I would tend to agree with a little bit with the Nick's take on Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves is a good player. He's more like Peyton Pritchard than a third option, though.
I think the extrapolated point around this that I have as well is Jordan, you've made the point very hard before, and I agree with it that you have two top 10 players in the NBA on your team, right? Maybe top 15. We can debate where they are,
Right.
but they're
Somewhere in that ballpark.
top 10-ish players. You would expect a team with two top 10 players to be really, really good every year, but they're not. And I think that's an indictment on their supporting cast. And I think JJ Redick is doing a great job this year, and I think he's elevated the team beyond what Darvin Ham has done in the past. But still, they should be better, I feel like, night in, night out. And I feel like that's on LeBron. That's on, AD, but that's also on the supporting cast. How many threes does Gabe Vincent make? I don't know why I'm giving him strays right now, but like,
If we
do I
wanted
have
to
a
say
stat for you on that one?
he's
If I
got
can
he's
just
got he's got the freaking Tony Snell lines. He's got the 0 0 0s.
yeah, he's bad.
so
I think that's indicative of what I'm seeing the supporting cast is, and I think we need more from them. And I think Reeves hides too much behind them.
I was going to say Gabe Vincent in his Los Angeles Lakers career has less made three-pointers than Dwight Howard had during his Los Angeles Lakers career. Dwight had 13, Gabe Vincent had 12. Oof.
That's so here's what I'll say, and I'm not one to shy away from criticism of my Lakers, and I think criticism of the supporting cast is certainly warranted. I've gone on a couple rants about our particular members of our supporting cast, and I mean to say that they are underperforming is a bit of an understatement. I've been disappointed with Rui so far this year. He's had a couple good games, but really has underperformed. Um, it's been nice to see Connects step up the last week or so, but he had a kind of a bad start to the season. Percentage wise, he's still not shooting great from the field. Like I said, defensively, he's a, a pole. Um, I feel like if we're targeting anybody, we should be targeting some of those. We should targeting Gabe Vincent, who's not only has he made less threes, but he's shooting like three times worse from the 3-point line than Dwight Howard did. And this is a funny stat. Dwight Howard shot over 40% from 3-point range in his tenure with the Lakers. He shot, I think it was like 12 for 25 or something like that. 12 for 26, and Gabe has shot like 11 for 60 or something like that. It's a tough scene in the backup point guard department.
A note to NBA GMs: never sign a Miami Heat role player. It will not work out for
It
you.
won't. It won't. Spoelstra gets him fitting into his machine, and no one else has a machine like Spoelstra's. It's like what are those? It's like a Rube Goldberg machine where everything it fits just so and tips over just at the right times that it gets you right where you want to go. No one sets up a machine quite like Spoelstra.
I
But
want
moral of the story is, if anyone deserves the flack for the failings from the Lakers bench, it's not Austin Reeves. He's been the most consistent performer of any of the Laker role players.
He has been very mid, I agree. Josh, who do you give me your next NBA giving analogy?
Yeah, so this is the United States of America, greatest country in the world. And what is synonymous with Thanksgiving? Apple pie.
Hmm.
And what is the NBA equivalent of apple pie? Well, I don't know. Who is the best player, American born player in the NBA? That would be Jason Tatum, friends. And hear me out. Listen, Jason Tatum is the most underrated player in the NBA by far. From the media, from non-Celtics fans, it is ridiculous the slander he gets. Everyone, we talked about Luka and his criticisms are finally coming to light. As much as I love Luka, Jason Tatum is 90% of what Luka is offensively and 300,000% what Luka is defensively. Jason Tatum regularly plays center on defense, guards the big for the other team, and is a point forward for on offense. His jumper was a little wonky last year, and there's definitely some shooting struggles. He's fixed that, and he's shooting way better from three this year. He's playing with much more of a confidence and a swagger than he has in past years. And on top of that, here's the thing that gets me about Jason Tatum. He's 26 years old. At 26, he's won a finals. He's won a championship. He's made the finals once before. He's made the Eastern Conference finals, all but I'm pretty sure 1 year of his entire career. He's been doing this since he was 19 years old. And yet, constant criticism after constant criticism. There's another 26-year-old who the media is falling all over themselves to anoint as the next greatest thing in the NBA, and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, which, to be clear, is not a shot at Shea. But I'm sorry, Jason Tatum has accomplished everything you can by 26, except for MVP, which I think he's the front runner. I do think Jokic will fizzle out. I don't think what he's doing is sustainable. And I'm at a loss for words with people that criticize him.
Josh, Can I
Now
ask
I'm
you
fired up.
once? Okay, I'm on board. I'm on. You know, I'm on that Tatum train with you. I'm getting on. I'm buying all the stock I can. I think he's underrated, undervalued. He not does not get the flowers he deserves. There's this thing though that you opened with that he is the best American player. And we had this event that happened over the summer. We called it the Olympics, which the US won. They did a good job. Very proud of them. And the great thing about this is you ask and invite the best players from the US to come play on the US national team. Every other country gets to do the same. So explain to me why the best American player can hardly see the court on the American team.
Well, Nick, thank you for asking. I'm glad you asked. So, first of all, you have to acknowledge the dynamics of that Team USA. LeBron, Steph, and KD were going to play the majority of the minutes out of respect for their careers, regardless of what else was happening. And that I don't quibble with that. I think that's fair. Send them out with a gold medal.
That's 3 out of 5 positions on the court.
Yes, I appreciate your math, but Tatum does play the same position as both KD and LeBron. He also was struggling with his jumper. Also, the Olympics was in August. We're now in November. And what this NBA season has taught us that Tatum is the best American player out there. LeBron was great during the Olympics. KD was great during the Olympics. Steph was great during the Olympics. The Celtics are coming off a title. We have the second best record in the league, and Tatum is the reason behind that. And I will give you a couple stats. So Tatum leads the Celtics in points, rebounds, assists, and steals, which I believe when Jokic did that and when Luka did that, we couldn't, again, we keep falling over ourselves to give these guys praise, which these are guys I love. But if we're going to give respect to one person, let's give it to the person doing the same thing. Also, since he entered the league, Tatum has the most clutch buckets, most go ahead buckets in the league. He also has the most playoff points over that span.
Can I make one other point about the Luka and Jokic comparisons? Those two teams revolve around those two players.
They were boo-boo.
They're like if you literally remove those two players from their teams, there's not anything going on. If you
I
remove Tatum from his team, they're still a good team. They're
They're
still a playoff team.
they could still be a finals team.
They could still be a
I
finals
agree
team.
with
And
I
so
agree
him
with you
leading
on that
them,
point.
him leading them in all those categories says something more to me than Luka and Tate and Jokic doing it for their respective teams.
I love it, Nick. I love it, Nick. And I would agree with that 100%. So I keep mentioning like the numbers say one thing and the tape shows the other thing. Tatum is involved in the way he's involved in every possession offensively is the same way that Luka and Jokic and all these guys and Giannis are all involved in every single possession. And when you do take him off the team, listen, I love Jaylen Brown, but when Jaylen Brown is your number one option and he doesn't have like all of the attention that Tatum has drawn off of him, it's rough and it does not produce winning basketball. That's why a lot of times, to be honest, in situations where Tatum is out, Derek White's usually the one paired with Jaylen Brown because he's more of a steady ball handler. And Jalen's great at his what he does. I don't want to take anything away from Jalen. I think Missoula's gotten them to the point where their skill sets mesh so well. A lot of it's isoing Jalen, getting him to the spots to score, but Tatum's the one dominating the ball. Tatum's making the reads. Underrated passer. He's not quite in the Jokic Luka level, but he's a hair under it.
So here's my main quibble, and you'll hear me make the same criticism of LeBron, and this will tell you that I do hold Tatum in some high esteem because he is going to receive the same criticism that I give LeBron. His game seems to be complete at this point. He's got all the pieces of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched like 3 or 4 Celtics games, and 2 of them he's blown me away, and 2 of them he looked like he was taking half the game off.
Mm.
And it was really disappointing. And that's the big knock that I we've given LeBron and that we continue to give LeBron is that he doesn't care about the regular season and he's only going to show up in big games. His teams lose games that they shouldn't just because they are up against an opponent that they think they should win. They underestimate them. They play down to the level of their opponents. And I worry that, and that's why I'm not going to give him the title of best American player. Probably sooner give that title to someone like, I'd probably give it to Curry or AD before I'd give it to Tatum.
Okay, I can get behind that. I thought you were about to say Ant, and we were going to have some words.
I'd give it to Curry or AD before I'd give it to Tatum because I know exactly what I'm going to get out of those guys every single game. And the intangibles and the stuff that doesn't show up on a stat sheet is is more important to me than, you know, every other night Tatum scores 35 and then the next night he scores 20 and doesn't take a shot in the fourth quarter. He's still averaging 28 points a game, but he's not showing up in the moments where his team needs him. He's not showing up in the games where they need to just get a win and get out. The season's long. Like I get it. And maybe this is just the culprit of having
West
made
Coast bias.
no, I was gonna say it's a culprit of Tatum making so many conference finals and NBA finals. He just like LeBron had made all of those finals in a row. He's just like, yeah, season's long. I don't care. We're gonna make the playoffs. End of the day, I just need to win playoff series, and that's just not the mentality that I want out of my my high performing apple pie.
That's
There's
fair, but
also
I would rebut that with the fact that Tatum doesn't miss games, and I could give Curry and AD the title as best American player. Those were the two that crossed my mind when I was considering my take. But those guys miss a lot of games, and Tatum plays every single night.
In AD's defense, he's got that reputation, but I think the last two seasons he's played like
Mhm.
75 plus games, and everyone seems to just overlook that fact. He got the rap because he had like two or three seasons in a row where he was hurt, but he's been on the
Because the
up and up.
media is terrible.
It, yeah, stupid media. We hate the media. I would never want to be a part of the media.
oops.
Uh,
All right, let's transition to our last round. I think we each have one more left. Jordan, who you got for your last NBA giving?
I'm gonna go with probably my favorite dish every Thanksgiving, and this is a dish that can pop up at a variety of meals, but you better have it at your Thanksgiving. And it's one that at its core, it's not flashy. It's delicious. It's got great elements, but it's not flashy. But then you can add beautiful toppings and take it to a whole new level. And that's your mac and cheese. And you know who that is? That's the Oklahoma City Thunder. Oklahoma City Thunder are a beautiful, beautiful dish of mac and cheese. Because you know what you have at your base? You got Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. That's some pasta and some cheese. It's not flashy. It's delicious. You know, you can mix and match your cheeses a little bit. You get a you maybe you add some Jalen Williams and you got some sharp cheddar on there. It adds a little extra to it. But then man, then you get some role players in there. You get some bacon on top. You add a little hot sauce. You do a cheese bake on the top. Get a little crusty layer. We'll call that our Chet Holmgren layer. You put maybe you add some lobster. I mean, your opportunities are endless to make this.
Pause. Pause. Lobster on mac and cheese?
Have you never had a lobster mac and cheese, Josh?
I've never even heard of it. I'm
Oh
sorry.
man. Man, we got to get you out to the West Coast and get you some lobster mac. Actually, you don't even need to go to the West Coast. I think they have it at you guys have a Yard House out there, don't you? They got lobster mac at Yard House. Get you some lobster mac. But man, there's so many ways that you add a little breadcrumb crust on the top. We'll call those our 3-point shooters. there's just so many beautiful pieces that you can add that just elevate your already beautiful simplicity in the game of mac and cheese.
I love the mac and cheese take.
Mm.
That was my next one too. And
Mm.
mac and cheese is here's the thing about mac and cheese, right? We talk about turkey, we talk about gravy, we talk about pumpkin pie. Those are those are by and large holiday dishes,
Mm.
right? Like those are holiday dishes. You get them once or twice a year. You're not doing a pumpkin pie like I said in June. Like no one wants that. Do you want mac and cheese at a 4th of July cookout? Yes, I do.
Heck
Do you
yeah.
want that at Easter? Yeah, I do. Do I want that at Thanksgiving? Do I want it at Christmas? Josh doesn't want any of that. Um,
But yeah, you do.
but yeah, I do. Do I want that on a given weeknight? Yeah, I do. You want mac and cheese every day of the year, and that's why mac and cheese is great, and it's versatile. To your point,
So my question for you, Jordan, is Isaiah Hartenstein the Gouda in your mac and cheese recipe?
Man, he can be whatever cheese you want him to be. I mean, we can make him my five additional cheeses on top. I mean, heck, he can be some extra mozzarella, just nice and light and mixed in. He could be your Gouda, that strong pronounced flavor that's making double behind the back passes on one play and getting sold twice. Someone
oof.
needs someone needs to someone better bought that man dinner because he got sold.
So my problem with this take is you talk about mac and cheese being the best dish, but are the Oklahoma City Thunder even the best team? Should the mac and cheese not be another team, maybe?
Look, all I gotta say is I'm not saying that mac and cheese is necessarily the best dish on the planet, but when it comes to my Thanksgiving meal, it's I need it on my plate every single time. And if we're talking about the best food, maybe I'll take a nice plate of tacos or a well-cooked pizza over my mac and cheese. But when it comes to making sure that my Thanksgiving is done right, you best believe I got my mac and cheese lined up with all the toppings, all the goodies.
Can I ask you a question, Jordan? If you showed up to your family Thanksgiving and you have your turkey, you got your mashed potatoes, you got your gravy, you got your cranberry sauce.
Mm.
What is that? There are two different kinds of mac and cheese. Two different people brought mac and cheese. Is that going to be a problem for you?
Dude, give me more mac and cheese.
Are you going to
I,
put them both on your plate?
they're both go. I would if I had to pick, if I could only pick two items to go on my plate, and you put stuffing, turkey, mac and cheese, cranberry sauce. I'm taking the two mac and cheese dishes. Okay. Every here's an aside. Thanksgiving food overrated as heck. All right. That goes without saying. It's mid. All right. So give me my mac and cheese. Give me all the goodies, and I'm a happy camper.
And see, that kind of leads to the point I think Josh was trying to make about are they the best? Are the Thunder the best team? They might be, but why can't we have more than one mac and cheese in the league? And I think that's where I'm at. We can have multiple mac and cheeses if we need to. The Thunder are good mac and cheese, but why couldn't there be another mac and cheese out there? I also chose mac and cheese, and I love mac and cheese for the same reason. I think it hits all the notes all the time. I think it gets slept on sometimes. I think when you get hyped about a holiday, you're thinking about the Thanksgiving, you're thinking about all the things about the holiday specific things. But no, the mac and cheese really is the glue that holds everything together, and that's what I
Mm.
look at when I think about the Orlando Magic. I think
Yes.
about Franz Wagner. He does all the things that you want him to do. He's there. He's consistent. He's around. And oh, we lose our best player. Oh, we still got our mac and cheese. We're still a good meal. We're still consistent. We're good. He's filling in the gaps. He's bringing everything together. We're good about this. There's no shame with Franz Wagner filling the stat sheet with rebounds, assists, leading the team when we needs to. Is he going to do it every time? Is he going to be the star every time? No, there's other roles for that and other days and times, but when you need him to, he'll do it. So Franz Wagner is my mac and cheese, and I love mac and cheese analogies all day long. So
I will
Josh, who
be
you
I will be bringing the mac and cheese to my Thanksgiving dinner because I got to make sure it's there.
love it? Love it.
I will say on the Franz point, my favorite thing with Franz, just from a basketball perspective, to bring it back to the topic of what we're trying to talk about, the way he attacks the basket and his different pickups is so unique. It's not quite like Barry Sanders, but it's very odd in the way he gets to the rim. He kind of has a almost hesitation half euro that he does to the right, where he goes off of his right foot, and it seems to work every time. He's such a fun player to watch. And he's another guy who got his jumper to come back, and it's been paying dividends for sure.
Yeah, he
I
almost
love his
does like
pickups.
a cross step, like he's doing a little karaoke. It's like a euro, but then he keeps going in the same. It's like a fake euro.
Yeah,
He's it's yeah,
it's a great move.
and all the movement he does with his arms too. He's got the variety of like the
Yeah.
low sweep. He always picks the right pickup for the
Yeah.
situational moment, which is really impressive given the speed of the NBA game. Anyway,
And he
continue.
doesn't look like he's moving very fast when he's doing it. He's
No.
very deliberate and he's just reading.
So my last thing I'm bringing to the our pods giving meal. So let's be honest, mac and cheese is great, and that is an S tier food for sure. You can't have Thanksgiving really any sort of giving. You can't have mac and cheese without. But whenever you're having Thanksgiving, you need to have some sort of roll, preferably some sort of dinner roll. Especially if you're going to have kids there. Kids are kind of picky. Turkey can have a funky taste to it. Then you got gravy added on it. And Lord knows that kids get sick of mashed potatoes after 2 bites. So if you have kids there, you got to have some dinner rolls. Well, what's for the kids in the NBA? I bring you LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball is the wildest player in the NBA. A 50 piece last night. The shot he made to hit 50 was a behind the backboard, wrong footed, one footed fadeaway. And if it wasn't for his injuries, we'd probably be talking about LaMelo maybe in the same breath as guys like Tyrese Maxey and maybe Anthony Edwards. But LaMelo Ball is just an amazing player to watch. The Hornets have had some pseudo success this season with a healthy LaMelo, but the kids love LaMelo, and LaMelo is so fun to watch. So if we're completing our pods giving, we got to have something for the kids. My kids, the only thing they ever eat on Thanksgiving is rolls, hand over hand, and LaMelo's that for our meal.
And not only does he provide that on the court, but ooh baby, that off the court interview content brings it to a next level as well. Fines aside, if interviews that that get him fined, put that to the side. Let's look at the rest of his content. So you never see him not being him, which is a total goofball and most of the time in the best way. And you can appreciate, especially from someone that's, been in the limelight for his entire life, that
Mm-hmm.
he's that comfortable in his own skin and doesn't feel like the pressure to change who he is because he's, with the media all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He had an interview, I think it must have been like 2 games ago, talking about what he was going to be having for Thanksgiving. He was talking about how his girlfriend was going to make a schmackin' peach cobbler, and I was like, man, I want some of that peach cobbler. What are we saying?
I think the most refreshing thing about LaMelo is, we talked about Franz and some of the uniqueness of his game just a minute ago. A lot of the NBA, and regrettably, Tatum fits kind of this bill to a T, is very workout oriented base. Like Tatum, as great as he is, you can tell he's been rep over rep over rep over rep. And he's had it more in as his career's progressed, but he doesn't have the free flowing creativity that LaMelo has. And it's kind of crazy to think that they both kind of grew up in very similar situations, both high level prep programs, high level AAU teams, whatever was going on with LaMelo when he went to Lithuania for a year, and then with that little thing he had that LeVar started. But the creativity and just the unpredictability of LaMelo compared to the rest of like these guys who are so workout based is so refreshing to me.
When you look at him and Chino Hills, right? Like you watch those teams, that was just like roll the ball at the court and let's just run around and have a good time. Like that was some. I think that's where it all started. And I think
Yeah,
the roots and the base of probably what Tatum has was not that
yeah.
unstructured. So
True. And
The the
I just want to mention, unfortunately, the Hornets are blacked out for me. So I cannot catch too many Hornets games unless I'm going to watch them 3 days after the fact. And no one's got time for that. But I will say the Hornets are building something super fun. I've been hyping up Brandon Miller in the group chat for the last like 2 weeks. I am a proud resident of Brandon Miller Island. But with LaMelo, if he can stay healthy, and with Brandon Miller, Charlotte's got maybe the best young backcourt in the league. We love our guys up in Detroit. I will put them in that conversation as well. Houston might have something to say about it just because Houston has a million guys to choose from, and undoubtedly one of them will hit. But Charlotte's got something now.
it,
I
it
think
has
that's a
it
good
has been really
conversation.
fun to watch. I gotta take a quick step back to the just thinking about Chino Hills. Watching some of those highlights and some of the stuff that they were doing, it looks like they're playing against nobodies. And the fact that it was a public school, and so all these guys are local within the district, and they're full court pressing and only dropping back three guys and then doing full court post ups. They're taking the ball out of bounds on a made basket and throwing a post up entry to Jello. And these highlights are coming from a 20-point win against the number one team in the country. And it's the Chino Hills experience is something we're probably never going to see again, where a public high school puts together a team with three brothers
Mm-hmm.
and two other organically non-recruited NBA caliber players in Okongwu, and who was their power forward? He played for LMU. He played against Pepperdine all the time. Really good player. Can't remember his name, but really solid player. And and they're just running it out, just hucking up Celtics like numbers of threes per game, half of them off of 1 foot, and beating the number one teams in the country. The Chino Hills experience was quite a time, and I was blessed to be in high school when that was happening.
I think it's I'm annoyed that LeVar Ball stole any of that like gravitas because that was fun. They were a fun team, and I hate that he was like the centerpiece of attention there when it could have
Mm.
been Lonzo, it could have been LaMelo, and I'm not going to talk about Jello, but but it could have been them. Like it really should have been more about them, and I think that's a shame. So quick aside on that. But they were fun. I don't think we'll ever see that again either, and I think that's unfortunate.
But
Uh,
I'm gonna eat all the bread rolls at Thanksgiving. If LaMelo is what we're getting, then I'm eating.
should we transition to our final segment here and do our degenerates corner?
We should and
Do
we
it.
will. So this week we are obviously missing our dearly beloved Haley. And so we don't have picks from him for this week, but the three of us are going to be running up our picks. Our first set of picks is going to be for this coming week. Actually, it'll be tomorrow. Our picks are for Monday, the 25th. Josh has the Celtics over the Clippers. He's going to have some family in attendance with split allegiances, which should make for some fun family dynamics.
Shout out my dad and my brother going to the Celtics game. My dad's going to be holding it down for the Celtics fan. My brother is going to be rooting for the Clippers. So I'm hoping for a big blowout Celtics win I can rub in my brother's face.
Yeah, it's tough to be a Clippers fan. Sorry to hear that for your brother. Uh,
Even though they're a top six team in the West right now.
That won't mean anything come April.
it will not. Nick has the Pistons over the Raptors tomorrow, and I've got the Pacers over the Pelicans because the Pelicans are trash.
Basura.
Tuesday, December 3rd. Next week, next Tuesday. Josh has the Magic over the Knicks. I will have everyone know that Josh has picked the Knicks every single time that we have done these picks so far, and he's picked them to lose, and they have won. Let's see if he'll finally break the curse. I have no faith. Nick has the Thunder over the Jazz, and I've got the Cavs over the Washington Wizards. And that's what
Josh,
we got.
basically, this is coming down to your pick. You know that, right? Like, Jordan's and mine are both basically free.
I
I
feel like
was
I'm the swing state here, so everything's riding on me.
It pretty much is. I was talking to, I've never been more confident about a pick than I am about the Cavs over Washington because
Oof.
it's an NBA Cup game too, and Washington is already out of contention, and the Cavs lost to the Celtics in one of their NBA Cup games.
hmm
So the final score margin means something to the Cavs, and the Wizards don't give a hoot. So I'm going to just make a little side bet. I'm going to say that they win that game by over 30 points.
See, that would be what your assumption would be, but if we were in the same position on Friday with the Generals. The Celtics had the opportunity to come in and win by a ton, and we barely squeaked out a win. I do think the
That's
Wizards play
because Tatum
harder.
didn't show up.
The Wizards play harder, and I think are better than people think. The NBA is just insanely deep. We've talked about
It
this
is.
numerous times,
Yeah.
but Bilal Coulibaly, deep cut because I don't know if anyone's watching the Wizards on League Pass, but Bilal Coulibaly is a guy. He is insanely long. He blocked a jumper from I think it was White, where he closed out kind of Wemby style and blocked the shot. And they've got some good players. The Jordan Poole experience is not my cup of tea, but other than that, Wizards have some solid pieces.
Koulibaly is in that he's in that conversation for most improved player of the year
Mm.
too, and it is a shame that he's in Washington and doesn't get the same kind of respect and media attention that a lot of other players are getting. But uh, on the flip side, there, neither is Dyson Daniels. Dyson Daniels has earned himself the limelight by
Mhm.
being insane. So
Dyson Daniels just got another steal.
he stole my heart.
I think that's a good point to leave this podcast on. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Have a happy holidays, and we'll see you next time.
Adios.